AITA for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? My daughter, 26F, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15 we found out she wasn't my biological daughter and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. As it turns out this so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced, my daughter learned the truth and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course she was interested now in getting to know her biological father and while it hurt I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she dropped from her college courses, hasn't done anything for 3 months and mad because I told her she either needed to go to school or work if she wants to stay here for free. She told me I'm not her real dad so stop pretending like I am and she'll just go stay with her real father. That broke me honestly. But I told her if that's how she really feels then there's really nothing left to say between us. And she did move out to go live with him. I was depressed for a very long time, drank so much. My son, 24M, was my only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple years I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact, I learned to accept that and move on. It helped me find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him I learned her biological father died in October 2019. Also that she's engaged. She reached out to me, first that she knows that we haven't talked in a while, but wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because according to her it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her it's not, but what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind I know if he hadn't passed we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding but I want no part of it or her life. My sons told me she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day and she thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally. My brother seemed to think now that I am being an asshole and this is my chance to be in her life again. But I have no interest in that. Still seems everyone has a strong opinion on it that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have the wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side but the comments are still wearing me down and just for the sake of my sanity, am I being an a-hole? Edit. Cutting out family for mental health? That's something I've had to learn the hard way as well, cutting out family for your own mental health no matter how much it kills you. It hurts but sometimes it's what's best for your life. My son saw how badly it was putting in a very dark place that I almost didn't come back from. Edit 2. The meeting was in person. Even if I felt her apology was genuine my feelings would remain the same. Trust me I know how much of a shock it was when she found out. On top of that divorcing her mom. It's why we had her and my son in therapy for years to help her and us process everything. It's been well over 6 years since she decided she didn't want us to have a relationship. It cuts you deep and with help from my son, as well as therapy, eventually managed to get by. Finally have found peace in my life and don't intend to lose it.
Relevant comments. YTA. I'm sorry about what you've been through, but I think you're going to regret this. Your daughter was just a kid when she found out you weren't her biological father, and while you've been to hell and back yourself, the whole thing must have messed with her head in ways even you can't imagine. The exchange you had when she was 20 and you told her to get a job and she cut contact is actually something that happens to a lot of biological parents, so as unpleasant and unreasonable as her behavior was, it's not particularly unusual, and reconciliation is possible. Does she have a responsibility now that she's older and wiser to put all that angst and confusion behind her and handle the situation like an adult? Yes, and that's what she's trying to do.
OP. Reconciliation with her is not something I want anymore. I've made peace with my life for the first time since this whole thing came out. Update. Thank you for your support. Especially those fellow parents who reached out in my messages. Advice, judgment and suggestions on what to do about my family. It took sending a mass text to everyone who wouldn't leave me alone about this. Took me some time to think of what to write and clear my head from everything. The reminder of everything that I did over the years to try to be in her life and where that all ended. How detrimental it was to my mental health. They all remember how it was like. How much it put me in a dark place that took lots of therapy and the need to be there for my son to get out of. My brother called me after, he apologized for the way he was pushing this. We had a much longer conversation. I told him my decision to remain out of her life was final. So he respected that, since no one else has said anything I'm hoping that means everybody else got the message. Best thing some suggested here was blocking out the others saying things and her. It wasn't doing my mind any good. I spoke to her over the phone to talk about the way she's been behaving online and the others in the family. I apologized for how things happened, and wish she didn't have to deal with these life-altering moments at such a young age. She made her choice for the past 6 years just the way I have. Even asked her to be honest with herself and answer, not to me, if her biological father hadn't passed, would we be here right now speaking to each other? She didn't say anything. But that's fine. It's a question for her to honestly answer to herself. Like I did before, I told her to enjoy her wedding and hope it's a lovely, healthy marriage. And this door to our relationship is closed, hope she could find peace with that and enjoy her life the way I have. Conversation ended shortly after that. She didn't say if she would stop saying anything about me online, so I just made sure to block her and others on her mom's side of the family to make sure there's no more bothering. This is the peace of mind I needed and glad to have taken up this advice. Edit. You want to know why she stopped school? She said it wasn't for her at the time as she didn't know what to major in. She changed majors twice at the time. We had a conversation about that. And okay, it's fine, school's not for everyone and it's understandable not knowing what you want to do with your life. However, going out with friends or to her mom's then doing nothing at home isn't an option. I told her if she wanted to keep living there rent-free, as in I would start charging her rent, not kick her out, then she needed to find a job while she figures out what to do with her life. The divorce, we had both kids in therapy because obviously at the time nobody in the family was mentally equipped to do it alone. And she had been in therapy for years after to get used to all this new information. As well as taking the proper steps to slowly introduce her biological dad into her life since she decided that's what she wanted. What makes you think I took a step back from being a father when he started coming around? Did you forget that she lived with me? She wanted to get to know him and have a relationship, so we worked to make that happen. What other details would you like to know rather than making up assumptions about my life? Edit 2. Where is daughter's bio dad and how/why it led her to ask me about walking her down the aisle? He passed away almost 2 years ago and haven't heard anything until now when it was only to ask to be part of her wedding. I asked so she can reflect on the answer for herself. It doesn't matter to me what prompted it, if that was even the reason, have moved on with my life along with my son.